In the world of boxing, there are athletes who come and go, fighters who rise and fall, and champions who hold on to their titles for only a short time. But once in a generation, a fighter appears who seems different from the rest. A fighter who moves with complete control, who strikes with perfect accuracy, and who never shows panic or fear. Naoya Inoue is one of those fighters. Known as the Monster, he is a boxer who has earned his place among the greatest in the modern era. Not only because of how hard he hits, but because of how he fights, with calm, intelligence, and precision. On the night of one of the most memorable knockouts of the year, the boxing world watched him deliver a performance that felt almost unreal. Two undefeated champions faced each other in the ring, two fighters who had trained, sacrificed, and believed in themselves equally. The atmosphere inside the arena was thick with anticipation. Fans around the world waited to see which man would rise and which man would fall. Naoya Inoue stood quietly in his corner before the first bell. He didn't bounce, he didn't glare, he didn't try to intimidate his opponent. He simply breathed, steady and calm. His expression was peaceful, almost relaxed. This is how he always is before a fight. His mind becomes still. Everything unnecessary disappears. Only clarity remains. When the bell rang, the first round began with measured movement. Both fighters stepped carefully, testing each other's distance. There were no wild exchanges, no reckless risks. The opponent tried to establish his jab early, hoping to keep Inoue away. But Inoue needed only a few seconds to understand everything he needed to know. Every time the opponent's shoulder twitched, Inoue saw it. Every slight lean forward, every attempt to close the distance, Inoue read it. He wasn't guessing, he was studying. This was not a fight of power versus power. It was a fight of intelligence, timing, and patience. Then Inoue threw his first jab. It was straight, fast, and incredibly clean. It seemed effortless, yet it landed with sharp precision. The opponent blinked, surprised by the speed. It was not the hardest punch, but it sent a message. Inoue was in control of the rhythm now. The crowd watching around the world could sense something, even in those early moments. Inoue looked calm, too calm. He did not react emotionally to anything the opponent tried. No wasted steps, no rushed punches. Everything he did had a purpose. The opponent attempted to increase his aggression. He tried to force Inoue backward with combinations, but Inoue did not step back. He simply shifted, slipping punches with small, exact movements. He conserved energy. He remained relaxed. Every time the opponent threw two punches, Inoue answered with one. And his one punch was always the cleaner, sharper, more meaningful strike. The commentators began to grow quiet. They could see what was happening. The opponent was already being pushed out of his game plan. He was now reacting to Inoue rather than making Inoue react to him. In boxing, this is the beginning of defeat. When a fighter stops making decisions and starts responding to the other man's rhythm, the balance of power shifts. As the first round ended, the opponent returned to his corner, breathing heavier than Inoue. His coach spoke quickly, trying to give adjustments, but the opponent's eyes showed the beginning of doubt. He had faced many boxers before. He had sparred hundreds of rounds, but he had never fought someone who felt like this. Someone who fought as if he already knew the outcome. The second round began, and the pace changed again. The opponent came forward with stronger intention. He tried to attack the body. He tried to cut off the ring, but Inoue's responses remained calm and clear. He countered with precision. His punches were compact and efficient. A left hook landed, then a jab to the chest, then a right hand over the top. Every punch landed exactly where it was meant to land. The crowd could feel the tension rising. They watched closely. They leaned forward. They could tell something was coming, even if they didn't know when. Inoue's footwork became tighter. His eyes focused more sharply. He wasn't rushing, but he also wasn't waiting anymore. And then the moment arrived. It happened in less than a second. The opponent stepped forward slightly too far. His guard dipped just enough to create an opening. It was a tiny mistake, so small that most fighters would not have noticed it, but Inoue saw it instantly. Inoue launched his right hand. The punch was perfect, not just strong, but technically flawless. His weight shifted smoothly from his back foot to his front foot. His hips rotated with the exact degree of power transfer. His shoulder aligned with the punch, and his fist landed clean and direct. The sound of the punch echoed like a clap in the arena. The opponent froze. His legs weakened. His balance broke. Then he collapsed, falling toward the canvas in slow motion. The referee began the count, but everyone already knew the truth. The fight was over. The arena exploded in shock and applause. The knockout was not just powerful. It was beautiful in its precision. Commentators shouted in disbelief. Fans stood on their feet. Clips of the knockout would soon spread across the world. And yet, Inoue remained calm. No wild celebration, no raised arms, no shouting. He simply looked at his opponent with respect. He breathed slowly. His face remained composed. Because for Inoue, this was not luck. It was not a surprise. It was the natural result of discipline, training, and mastery. Experts analyzed the knockout for days afterward. They broke it down frame by frame. They studied the exact angle of his feet, the timing of his movement, the tiny mistake his opponent made. And the conclusion was the same each time. Inoue had chosen the exact perfect moment. This was mastery. This was the monster. After the knockout, the boxing world reacted quickly. Highlight videos spread across social media within minutes. Fans and analysts everywhere replayed the moment again and again. They slowed it down. They zoomed in. They studied the angle of the punch, the placement of Inoue's feet, and the reaction of his opponent's eyes as the fist made contact. Everyone wanted to understand how something so fast could be executed with such precision. But to those who had followed Naoya Inoue's career closely, this was not surprising. It was simply another example of his extraordinary talent, sharpened through discipline and repetition. Inoue is known for training with intense focus. He practices the same movements thousands of times. Every punch, every step, every slip has been developed with purpose. There is no randomness in his style. There is only refinement. Inoue's gym environment is quiet, focused, and strict. There are no distractions. Every session is treated like preparation for the moment where everything matters. His father, who also serves as his trainer, designed his foundation from childhood. The goal was never just to make him strong. The goal was to make him complete, to give him balance, precision, timing, and confidence that doesn't break under pressure. This is why, when Inoue steps into the ring, he does not look nervous. He has already fought the fight hundreds of times in his mind. He has already rehearsed every possible situation. He is not guessing. He is remembering. The opponent who faced Inoue that night was a champion, respected and skilled. He did not come to lose. He trained hard. He had studied Inoue's past fights. He prepared strategies, footwork patterns, counterpunch sequences. His camp believed they had answers for Inoue's speed. But once the fight started, all those plans collapsed. The pace, rhythm, and control belonged to Inoue from the first second. This is something fans began to notice over the years. Inoue has the ability to erase an opponent's game plan simply by being himself. He doesn't need to overwhelm with volume. He doesn't need to pressure recklessly. His presence alone changes the rhythm of a fight. The opponent reacts to him instead of executing their own plan. This mental dominance is one of the key reasons he looks calm in every moment. After the knockout, Inoue stood in the center of the ring. His gloves still raised, but his expression unchanged. He walked over to check on his opponent, showing respect as he always does. Sportsmanship matters to him. The goal is not to hurt somebody unnecessarily. The goal is to show the highest form of the craft. Commentators began comparing him to legends. They mentioned great names of the past, fighters who controlled the ring with intelligence rather than chaos. They spoke about how boxing evolves and how every few decades a fighter appears who changes the expectations of what is possible. Inoue's name began to appear in those conversations more frequently. As the medical team attended to the fallen fighter, the audience's attention returned to the replays on the big screen. The punch looked even more impressive when slowed down. Inoue's eyes were locked directly on the opening. His body shifted at the exact millisecond needed. His fist traveled in a straight line without hesitation. His wrists stayed aligned. The impact was precise. This was not just power, it was perfect execution. Reporters soon gathered, preparing for the post-fight interviews. But Inoue spoke the same way he always does. Calm, respectful, focused. He did not brag. He did not celebrate loudly. He simply acknowledged that he executed what he had prepared. To him, this knockout was not a surprise. It was the product of work. Outside the ring, however, reactions continued to grow. Fans began discussing the knockout as one of the cleanest of the year. Fighters from different weight divisions commented on it. Boxing trainers praised the technique. Analysts described the moment as a masterclass example of timing and distance. But for Inoue, this win was only part of his journey. He has always spoken about goals beyond just winning belts. He wants to be remembered as one of the best fighters who ever lived. Not because of fame, not because of money, but because of the pursuit of mastery. He wants to push boxing to its highest level. His training resumed soon after. Not weeks later, but almost immediately. The day after the fight, while many champions would celebrate, rest, or enjoy the victory, Inoue was already thinking about improvements. He believes that power and precision must always be sharpened. He believes that even a perfect punch can be refined further. Meanwhile, his opponent also returned to training after recovering. He did not retire. He did not lose his spirit. He acknowledged that on that night, he faced someone extraordinary. There was no shame in defeat, only lessons to learn. Inoue's legacy continued to grow after this fight. Fans began traveling from all over the world to see him fight live. Children began imitating his stance and footwork in gyms. Commentators described him as a once-in-a-generation fighter. Some called him the most technically complete boxer currently active. But even with all the praise, Inoue remained steady. His personality did not change. He continued speaking in the same humble tone. His focus remained on training, discipline, and respect for the sport. This is part of what makes him admired. He does not try to become a showman. He does not seek attention outside the ring. He lets his skill speak for him. As years pass, fans will look back on this knockout as one of the defining moments of his career. Not because it was the hardest punch he ever landed, not because it was the most dramatic finish, but because it showed the essence of who he is as a fighter. Calm under pressure, precise in movement, intelligent in timing, completely composed, even in the most intense moments. This fight reminded the world that mastery is not just about strength. It is about seeing what others do not see. It is about making decisions faster than thought. It is about trusting preparation so deeply that the mind becomes quiet when the moment arrives. Naoya Inoue's journey is not finished. He continues to fight, to refine, to grow. The world continues to watch. Opponents continue to study him. Fans continue to follow him. But the thing that remains constant is his presence, calm, focused, and always ready. And when the next moment comes, when the bell rings again, and another fighter stands across from him, the world will once again see that rare stillness in his eyes. The stillness of a man who does not hope to win, because he already knows what he came to do. This is Naoya Inoue. This is the monster, and his story continues.